What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to episode 14, Mana Rant, brought to you by the Mana Dorks Podcast. My name is Michael Apollo, and as always, I am joined by Hoshi.
I'm not the dork you're looking for.
Yikes, we're going to touch on that one. And Drunken Dork.
I choose you, Pikachu.
Oh my god, that was more cringy.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Brother, I don't know who you choosing, but you ain't choosing me, brother. Let me tell you that.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's even worse, actually.
What's up, everyone? So this is the Mana Dorks Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything historic and Commander related. As I've already said, my name is Michael Apollo, and the way our show works is through the actual phases of Magic. So we have our untap, our upkeep, draw, main phase 1, combat, main phase 2, end step, cleanup, and our discard phases. And we always start every show with our untap, just like you do in Magic. But in this case, we untap a beer or a drink of our choice. So let's get to it. Untap her up. Ooh. And it's nothing special on my end. I've had this like quite a few times. It's a really good hazy IPA I love a lot from St. Archer. It's fucking delicious. But I guess while we're on the topic of untap, it's Halloween has passed. By the time you've seen this, I hope you guys have had a safe and happy Halloween. As for myself, brother, I'm a Texan cowboy. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Tejas, and my costume is definitely not as imaginative as my other two co-hosts. So let's swing it over to Drunken Dork. You're saying you want to catch them all? Catch who? What are you?
All the dicks.
And what are you drinking?
Yeah. Sweet baby Jesus. That's what I'm drinking. And it's a chocolate peanut butter porter. It came in my monthly beer subscription that my wife got me, and it's fucking delicious.
Yum.
Yeah. And it's really good.
And what are you for Halloween?
Ash Ketchum. Yeah. Trying to catch all those I don't know. I can't think of anything clever. Expensive ass Magic cards.
It's so true. All right, Hoshi, what are you drinking this week?
Hey, so this week, in the spirit of Halloween, I want something a little bit sweeter. So I'm calling this Java the Hutt.
Oh my gosh.
Oh god.
To go with my Star Wars theme. So this is some coffee that I had today, some pumpkin spice coffee combined with some Kahlua, a little sweet, and then some Irish cream, some Kerrygold Irish cream, super good. And of course, I gotta have my whiskey. And some Jameson.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a tasty drink.
It is. Right. It's very good.
Okay, no, that does sound good. And what are you dressed as? You're talking about you're not the nerd we're looking for? What the fuck is that about, dude?
Dork, I am dressed as Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Mandalorian's coming out this week, so
sure is.
I'm excited for that. So I've been on a Star Wars kick with that. So I've never dressed up as a Jedi before, and I didn't want to shave my beard, so I thought, hey, Obi-Wan, buddy.
Yeah, dude.
So my buddy, I know it's a super common one, but girlfriend's gonna dress up as Leia with the whole hair twist thing. It's an easy costume, and then Ghost over there. I'm in the middle of building him his own little Jedi robe, so he's gonna be my Jedi puppy for Halloween too. It's gonna be it's gonna be dope.
Pretty adorable.
He's super cute.
So that is our untap. And as we said, by the time you see this, Halloween has just passed. So once again, we hope from all of us that you've had a happy and safe Halloween in this shitty 2020. Mm-hmm. So that's our untap. And it's always followed by our upkeep. Cheers. Cheers, boys. Upkeep is going to be a little different this week. So this is just going to be short little points about some news that has been happening in the MTG community. I think that's like a very good point. It's not might be topics that are not warrant for discussion, maybe in later episodes, but definitely some points that we should talk about. So some news. Standard is good again. Surprise, surprise.
It is.
It seems like if you get rid of cards that are too oppressive, the format can flourish. Who would have thought? So I'm assuming you guys are. Do you guys even really play Standard at all? I mean, are you guys happy for Standard?
No. I have actually been playing nothing but Standard, and yeah, I think it's great. I think it's a lot of fun. I mean, that's not true. I've been playing a little bit of Historic too, but most of the time I've been playing, it's been Standard, and it's great.
Cool. Yeah. No, I've watched a lot of other YouTubers, some streamers, and Standard does look pretty healthy. So pretty excited for that. Other news, let's flip it around. Hasbro stocks have dropped. Yet Wizard of the Coast, their stocks have gone up. Like, what does that mean? Well, I don't know what that means, honestly. Like, I don't know what that literally means in the sense of how Wizards of the Coast is going to go forward. All I do know is that it is confirmed that Arena Mobile has now been postponed.
Yeah.
So there is now no future plans for it. So any like plans we've had to like take Arena on the go on our phones and stuff, yeah, none of that's happening. So
I did
you guys have?
Yeah, I did look into the earnings call on it, and I watched a call with the CEO of Hasbro too. So Wizards of the Coast doesn't actually have stocks; it's Hasbro that has them. Wizards of the Coast is owned by Hasbro, and so Hasbro their stock shot down like 15% in one day, which is crazy, especially considering their earnings were actually up, which is very weird. So I was like, oh man, is this Wizards of the Coast, right? Wizards of the Coast is actually one of their IPs that's doing very well, and they talk about it at the top of everything. They're like, oh, we've been doing really good this year. Like Magic the Gathering is doing great, right? The first thing they talk about, they own a ton of stuff, but Magic is the first thing that they're talking about with like how it's doing really good and it's popular and it's making them money. So they are, it sounds like they are on the Magic train right now with Hasbro. So that could be good or bad. And
yeah,
I don't know how to see that. Like they're thinking of it as a cash cow. So are they going to monetize it more, right? Or does that mean that they're going to give it more like love and attention and expand Arena more? I don't know. I feel good and bad about it, right?
I think it really depends, right? Like how much of the pressure they were giving to Wizards and how much they want to quantify that as like money earned, right? So like if they were pressuring the shit out of them and they made a product like Secret Layers and Secret Layers made a shit ton of money, then like, yeah, I think going forward, they're probably going to continue to print like even more Secret Layers. But I think really the cash cow is Arena, right? Like that is the cash cow that they now have. It's more than likely not paper. It's probably almost all Arena, especially with people staying home now. And it's crazy because they actually earned more this year than they've ever earned, you know? Yep. So that has to say something, right? Like even with people staying inside right now.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely the biggest cash cows right now from Hasbro's end are Magic the Gathering and
me.
Monopoly and Ouija. People are summoning the spirits at home. I don't know if Ouija is actually true, but Monopoly is true. That's something I've looked up before. Obviously, as we all said, everyone's home and they're playing board games again. So some other news. Kaledesh Remastered is fast approaching and Historic is about to change again. I am super excited for it. There's obviously some really broken cards, some really busted combos, but I think all in all, Historic is a very healthy format and can handle it. But we'll have to see. But initial impressions without getting too much into it. You guys excited about Kaledesh Remastered?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. It's a crazy strong set. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be I think it's going to make an impact in Historic for sure. Like there are such good cards out of here that were like, devastating. I don't know. Actually, I don't know how they're going to fare against like some of the newer cards, considering the power level is stepped up. But I still think there are some cards in here that are powerful enough that, like, yeah, they're going to make a huge impact.
Hoshi?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm super excited. I mean, Kaledesh, I didn't play it. This is like one of those times I wasn't playing Magic, and it looks like a very powerful set. There's a lot of cool artifact stuff going on in there, and I think they're gonna do the same thing that they did with Amonkhet, where they're going to take out a lot. They're not going to put in the cards that were major problem cards at the time. So I think this is a good way for them to just like add a bunch of fun stuff to the format and not just destroy it. So I think it's going to be great.
Agreed. I think moving forward, Wizards needs to pay attention to problem cards because there has been bans, and that's actually one of the sets where the bans started kind of happening pretty predominantly in Standard, with cards like Walking Ballista, which is banned in Pioneer, and the Kaledesh or Felidar Champion, that kitty cat with Nahiri, I think, or not Nahiri, whatever the is it? Planeswalker. Yeah, that's it. Saheeli, that combo. So if they pay attention to that, that's going to be pretty good for the historic format going forward. And then finally, we have Commander Legends. It's fast approaching. And now there's a Black Lotus. So
yeah, wild.
This card is busted.
Yeah, stupid.
As you guys know, we like playing Commander. Commander is our favorite paper format, and this Black Lotus is insane. It's a 0 cost artifact, and you can sacrifice it, add 3 mana to your mana pool of any color in your Commander's color identity, I believe.
No, it's just
I don't know if
it's
one color.
Yeah, it's just one color.
Either way, that's insane. I mean, it can pay for Commander tax. It's good on turns 1 through 20. I mean,
it's a good card. Yeah, I mean, like we've already discussed, it's an auto include in almost any fucking deck, so it makes it a problem, right? Like, because the card isn't going to be cheap, it's a mythic, and so it's just like puts people with like a bigger wallet at an advantage, which I feel like that takes away the philosophy of Commander, where Commander is supposed to be the set where you could play anything you want. You play your old cards because they're not in standard formats anymore, and this kind of takes that away from that.
Agreed. But we're gonna have to see as things approach closer. And if you guys want to have us talk more about Commander or EDH format in general, let us know in the comments below. But that is our upkeep. Some brief news about the MTG community, and follow that is our draw phase. So that's just real quick. What Magic formats have we been playing this week? I'll turn it over to Hoshi. What have you been playing this week?
I've been playing Historic. A lot of Historic. I'm messing with my token transmogrify into Crater Hoof Behemoth deck, which has been doing pretty good. So I'm gonna make a deck on that this week when I get some time. But yeah, so I've been playing around with some fringe stuff in Historic. It's been pretty fun.
Nice.
Drunken, what have you been doing?
Like I said before, Standard, and it has been a blast. I've been playing a mono green deck, and it's like kind of control-y a little bit. It's super fun. It is a super fun deck, and it's not just fun like a bad fun. Like I enjoy playing. It's actually a good fun. Like, you win games, and it just feels really good. It feels powerful. I'm really glad Omnath's gone now. I'm really glad that like the you see like so many different decks when you're playing. It makes it just like, I don't know.
Right.
It's like the Wild West still, and it feels really good.
That's
nice, dude.
Yeah.
As for myself, as I've stated other times before in past episodes, I'm more on the competitive side of things, and I am trying to continually rank up with my Gruul aggro. As I rank up, I take out cards, I kind of fine tune it. As I see it, it's either you're on the fence of Collected Company or Embercleave with like Questing Beast. Like, which side of Gruul are you going to play? Either way, they're very powerful decks, and it's just a matter of fine-tuning your sideboard as you rank up. The meta shifts and changes. So you want to make sure that you plan ahead and you're well prepared to take on any deck if you go to 3 matches. So that's all I've been doing.
What rank are you at?
Yeah,
Platinum 1.
Okay, nice. So
Nice.
Can you make it? Can you pass platinum? We have 2 more days, right?
Is it really 2 more days? Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, I'll get past platinum for sure.
Oh
Okay.
no, I haven't been playing. I need to at least get to platinum.
Yeah.
Whoops. Oh no.
Yeah, I'll get there for sure. I haven't been playing as much as I would like, but
silver.
Yeah. So after our draw, we go into our main phase. And opposite of competitive, well, I mean, I guess these could be competitive. You guys have commented that you want to see fringe decks. Some ideas that we have as Magic players about some fringe decks in the format of historic. Fringe is a kind of a weird subject. It's not necessarily, well, it's definitely not net decking. It's not the meta. However, there's strategies that are very powerful, but just not seeing they're either not powerful enough due to not having some key cards. There's a lot of things in play here. Maybe a lot of people aren't playing them, so you just don't see them. Or the fact that what they're trying to do doesn't necessarily impact or affect the meta. They're not weak decks by any means. And we encourage everyone, if you're not playing competitive, then play fringe. And so what we're going to do is give you guys some fringe ideas, some decks, some strategies that you can look up, use. Some of them can be pretty expensive. Others can be pretty budget. But either way, they're really fun. And I think that's like the key point. That's the big takeaway here, is to have fun. And that's what fringe is all about. So I'm going to turn it over to Hoshi. What fringe deck do you think is viable in historic?
So I think this deck has been in historic for a very long time, pretty much since the inception of historic, and it continues to be a viable deck and fun to play with throughout, and they keep adding more stuff to it. And with that, I'm talking about vampires. Vampires is a great tribal deck. It has a lot of stuff going for it. And one of the things that I really like about vampires is that you can build it in so many different ways. Like when you're talking about elves is another great historic deck, right? But there's like not a lot of ways to build elves. It's pretty much just elf ball, you ball out, and then you go crazy with it, right? Maybe Crater Hoof or something. But with vampires, there's so many different vampire cards that have so much different functionality to them. You can really make like a very low costing vampire deck with Knight of the Ebon Legion and Legion's Landing and Vicious Conquistador and Legion Lieutenant. You can have so many things that are under 3 mana cost, and then you can run Luris as your as a companion with it, so you can make a very fast vampire deck if you want, or you can go the other way and you could do like combo stuff where you can add what's his name, Vito, Thorn of the Dust Rose in there, and you can add Exquisite Blood with that, and then you can do the combo where if you have those 2 cards on the battlefield and you deal any damage or gain any life, boom, that then this combo goes off where it creates an infinite loop where you just ping the other person to death and you gain infinite life. So you can easily have that combo baked into just a vampire deck by just adding Vito in there. And Vito is just a great card because whenever you gain life, it deals damage to them. And there's so many vampires which gain life, and you're in the Orzhov colors with vampires, which is black and white.
Yeah.
And they just introduced Nighthawk Scavenger in there, which is a great addition to this deck. It's a very powerful vampire. They have Champion of the Dusk. He's very good. They have Sanctum Seeker, which pings whenever you attack with a vampire. The new what was that set which was super good for drafting? Jumpstart, exactly. That introduced Drana, Liberator of Malkir in there, like pumps all your vampires. So there's what is it? Elenda, the the Dust Row. There's so many good vampire cards. There's just a ton of them, and there's so many good like just Orzhov cards to throw in there. And then the Planeswalkers that you have with them too. You have Sorin, Imperious Bloodlord, which is a Planeswalker which is specifically for vampires, which you don't see that very often. A Planeswalker that is just a tribal Planeswalker, he's pretty much dead on the board if you don't run vampires, so you don't see him very often. But if you have vamps, he's incredibly powerful. You can put a vamp on the field for free. You can plus your vamp and give it Death Touch and Lifelink. You can sacrifice a vamp to turn it into like a kill spell. Crazy. And then if your vamps die, right, you have Sorin Vengeful Bloodlord, where you can bring them back from the graveyard. It gives all your attacking creatures lifelink. So there's just a ton of different stuff that you can do with vampires. And every time I still face them every once in a while on Arena, and it's always a difficult battle. I beat them, I feel like, most of the time, but they are still competitive, I feel like, even though it is a fringe deck.
So I gotta say, flavor wise, it's like, okay, I have like a affinity for vampires. Actually, my very first competitive standard deck, when me and Drunken got back during I believe it was Innistrad and Return to Ravnica block.
Yeah.
And my very first competitive was Mardu Vampires, using like Olivia Voldaren, and there was another really good vampire at the time, but it was just about pinging, like you were saying, like just doing those pings and pings and pings, aristocrat kind of strategies. Really cool, really awesome. I really like that you mentioned Sorin Markov, like that's super flavorful. He is the son of Edgar Markov, which is a very popular, if not the most popular vampire commander. So it's fringe. And you've also said that you've beaten it. Like, what do you think? Like, why? Like, what does this deck need, or what does this strategy need to make it more viable? Or why do you think it's not seeing more play in Historic?
I think it's not seeing more play because it doesn't cheat mana in any way. There's zero mana cheating in it, and the strongest decks in Historic right now are either very like powerful control decks, or they cheat mana in some type of way, like Collected Company throws things onto the board. Goblins obviously just shits out goblins all over the board, right?
That's what I was about to say. Goblins, is a problem.
Yeah, Goblins is disgusting with how many goblins they can make. So it's very powerful in like a slower match. It has very good targeted removal in the deck, but that doesn't do anything against these decks that are just like shitting creatures all over the board or board wiping. It does come back from board wipes pretty well, right? So like I said, it's almost there. It just needs something to give it a little bit more mana or ways to put out other things. And I think Sorin does do that. He does cheat at least one card onto the battlefield, but you have to cast Sorin at the same time to do that. So like I said, I think it's right there. It's just missing, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Maybe some kind of like resiliency, maybe giving vamps like indestructible or something like that.
Yeah, something. I just feel like
staying power.
Orzhov just doesn't have great mana. Right? I feel like this deck is always like you're always suffocating on mana for what you can do with it.
I mean,
keep
going. Sorry.
I mean, I do like that Legion's Landing is in there, and that is basically a ramp card. If you can get it off, you have to attack with 3 creatures, and then it turns an enchantment into a land. And that land produces tokens too. So that's almost ramp. That's like the closest that you're probably going to get with ramp. The only other thing I can think of is adding in artifacts to ramp, but that kind of takes away from the strength of the deck. So I'm not sure. Maybe there are some spicy artifacts that we can add in there to ramp it up.
I think the problem with this deck is, like you said, it's bad against like goblins. It's not great against enchantments. I mean, if you look at the top decks, it's just like a lot slower than a lot of the other ones. Like mono white life gain is a lot better when they have similar win strategies. Like, right? Like similar, they're not the same. I guess mono white life gain is a little more aggro based, but like I think in best of one, it's just a little too slow for these strategies, right?
Yeah. I think what you can do is you can build something if you wanted this to be a little bit more competitive, was you could take that mono white life gain, but still make it fringy, right? And then you can add the veto of the Destro, make that mono white life gain an Orzhov deck, and then add veto in there, and then you can have that life gain combo in there where you're dealing them damage. And I've done that before, and it still works pretty well because you still have that life gain power house of just the life gain deck, but then you can also have that fringy combo thing built in there too. And if you run into some other deck that is very good against life gain, you could switch phases over to combo maybe. So,
but then it's not vampires anymore. You're taking away the theme.
It's not. You're right. You're right.
So
I was talking about making it more competitive.
Okay.
But I think the key takeaway here is that it's almost there, and that's what the key word here is why it's fringe. It's on the cusp of being something that can further itself into the competitive realm. Hopefully with the future anthology sets and Kaledesh, maybe we might see something. But that is Orzhov Vampires. It's also one of my favorites. I love vampires. Tribal is just super sweet, and it's really cool in Historic. There's a lot of different Tribal in Historic, but we're going to shift gears over here, and we're going to go to Drunken Dork. Drunken Dork, what fringe deck have you chosen for the Historic format?
Saying it doesn't really sound fringe, but apparently it is, because of the meta, it's really far down there, and that's mono black. I'm going to keep it spooky here today since we're doing a Halloween themed. And Hoshi chose vampires, why not? I fucking love mono black. I played the shit out of this, when it was huge and standard. And here in Historic, it looks great. Knight of the Ebon Legion, Gutter Bones. This is a little bit more of an aggressive shell, but I think I actually really like that. Let's see, Diregraph Ghoul. These are all 4-ofs. Yarox, Fen Lurker. Timurit, Kit Sale, Drana, which is a great card from Jumpstart, which is, I think that was that in Kaledesh or Shadows of Innistrad? I'm not sure, but Murderous Rider, Dreadshade. This deck is just set up so good. And then one of the coolest cards I think ever printed, Phyrexian Obliterator. That card is so good. When you get one of those out of that, it just shuts decks down sometimes, even against goblins or something. It can if they don't get that turn 3 win and you can get an Obliterator out, a lot of times they won't attack into you because they don't want to start sacrificing all their shit, and it is a super fun deck. I still play this deck. It's too slow, so I end up playing it 2 or 3 games. I get a few losses, and then I go to a deck that actually wins. And throw my computer on the floor and kick some shit. And but I think this deck is fun. I think it is powerful. I'm just in the meta right now. I think it just it doesn't hold up because of enchantments, because of goblin aggro, because of what else is up here. Just looking at the meta, it can do pretty good against mono red aggro, but mono white life gain is a serious problem. I think the mono white life gain is a huge problem for a lot of decks, to be honest. The fact
is this deck that you're talking about best of 1 or best of 3?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is the best of 1 version of it. In best of 3 is actually a lot better. Yeah, and I was gonna comment that on I was gonna comment that on vampires. I think most decks, I think vampires would potentially be better in best of 3, just because like black white is this is a really good color combination in historic, and it doesn't really matter if people are ramping. Like, you have so much removal in those 2 colors that that going to a sideboard, like, I think that deck could significantly increase in power level.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's like a key point too, where best of 1 you want like your best 60. Best of 3 you want like, well, this is really good, but only if this is played. You know what I mean? So, best of 3, you can very easily turn an aggro deck into like a mid-range deck. Yeah. Having, especially in the colors of Orzhov or Mono Black, where you can have an insane amount of targeted removal and disruption in the forms of like Thoughtseize, anguished remorse or whatever. Look at their hand, get rid of stuff. And if you're stalling them out from turns like 1 to 4, you're already in a great position. Hoshi, do you have any thoughts on the mono black aggro?
No, I think it's great. I actually played against like 3 mono blacks today. I played against like 3 of them in a row. So I think people are playing mono black, and it's good when it's quick. This one guy, he had a turn 1 Gutter Bones, and then turn 2 Knight of the Ebon Legion, and then the other version of Gutter Bones is some zombie, I forget what it's called.
Diregraph.
And then turn 3 Diregraph Ghoul, and then turn 3 he had the whatever the dinosaur is, that's a 7/6 that makes you discard. There's nothing I can do against that. It was I don't know if that was just a god hand that he got, but I mean, he crushed me horribly with that deck. So yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good. If you get the right hand, you can easily win with mono black.
What's cool about mono black is from a lot of other people's opinions, you might think like mono anything could be pretty stale, pretty straightforward. Mono green is just trying to be stompy. Mono white is just trying to gain life. But mono black actually has a lot of complexity in it. When you go mono, you have to use the best that you're given. And I think if you're going aggro, mid-range, or even mono black control, you're piloting your deck in a very strategic way, I think. And that's something I like a lot from black. They do a lot of things different than other control-y. It does something different than tempo. It does something different. It has its own unique way of getting ahead. And that's usually in the forms of like targeted removal, hand disruption, discard, life loss, destroy all creatures, counters. It has such weird things that mono black can do. And I like that a lot. So mono black aggro, I have seen it quite a bit in best of 3, and I like it a lot. So
cool.
For myself, what's odd is we all somehow are shared in our colors. I'm doing Death and Taxes, mono white. So we have mono black, we have mono whites, and we have Orzhov. So I guess, keeping to the spooky theme here. So Death and Taxes, what is Death and Taxes? So what's really cool about this is it's not necessarily, the strategy is not fringe. It's very popular in modern and legacy especially. And the idea of Death and Taxes is kind of like hate bears, where hate bears are 2/2s or creatures that cost for 2, and they have some kind of hate, some kind of disruption to slow your opponent down. Death and Taxes also does that, right? Like it's a lot of hate bears. It's a lot of death and taxes. Like, it kills your opponent's creatures and it makes them pay for things in order for them to do things, right? While you're also stabilizing your board, creating a creature base, and then swinging in for the win. Now, there's multiple ways you can do this, and the reason why I say this is fringe, because the only reason why it exists in legacy and modern is because there's an extremely powerful card pool that can enable it to happen. Historic is not quite there, but there is some powerful cards. We have like Archon of Emeria. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn, so slow them down. Non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped, slow them down. Aven Mind Sensor, has flash. If an opponent would search their library, instead they search the top 4 cards of their library. We have Basari's Lieutenant. We have Containment Priest. If they're trying to do any kind of like creature shenanigans and they're not casting it from their hand, it's exiled. Punish them. It's all about punishing people for trying to do something or try to cheat things and make them play fair Magic. Meanwhile, you're building up your board and you're whittling them down with 2/2s and 1/1s and 1/2s and the like. We have like Law Rune Enforcer, tapping problem creatures down. We have Luminarch Aspirant. At the beginning of combat of our turn, we get to put a +1/+1 on target creature we control. Selfish Savior, sacrifice it and give something indestructible. Save something that we need to keep. Skyclave Apparition, a way to with a body do targeted exile. Thalia, another amazing card, a 2/1 with first strike, and then non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. So that Wrath of God you're going to do on turn 4, yeah, it ain't happening, bro. It's not going to happen. You got to wait till turn 5 now, and then maybe that's what I need to get my win. Tithe Taker. During my turn, spells your opponent's cast cost 1 more to cast. So another pseudo Thalia, but it happens only on your turn. It's just a lot of hate. We have forms of artifact equipment, Maul of the Skyclaves, just a way to get something +2/+2 and flying in first strike. Just boom, get in that damage. And there's obviously a sideboard. Well, I've developed a sideboard. We have Linvala. Some more stuff like Vern, Wingmare, Devout Decree, Rest in Peace, and Settle the Wreckage. It's powerful. I'm surprised it doesn't see more play. Maybe because there's such a flux of newer players and they just don't know about these strategies. So that's why us here at the Mana Dorks, while we're trying to enlighten people on some other ideas that maybe you haven't seen or maybe don't even know about. But Death and Taxes has been a very powerful strategy for an extremely long time, but it has not seen main play in standard historic. It hasn't seen it. It just, the card pool isn't there. But I think in historic that it's pretty close. I think it's pretty close. I think there's a lot of hate. I think there's a lot of cards to make this powerful. But once again, as Hoshi has mentioned, there is a lot of people who cheat mana. And cheating mana is always going to put you a turn or even 2 turns ahead, depending if you're on the play or you're on the draw, right? So that can really devastate you. If your opponent just has that God hand and they are ramping like crazy, what you might perceive as turn 4, it's actually only turn 3, and whoopsie, there goes Settle the Wreckage, or Wrath of God, or some other fucking board wipe, and you're just fucked, right? So what do you guys think, though?
So I'm going to speak on this quickly, because I was actually, just before we started, me and Hoshi were just playing Arena and talking to each other as we were playing, and I just built a best of 1 version of Death and Taxes, a mono white one, and I was commenting on how cards like Thalia and what's the one that doesn't allow you to cast things from
Granite Magistry.
Yeah, Granite Magistry. Cards like that are so powerful right now, I think, in best of 1, because even though, wait, is Uro is in historic, right? Yeah, he is. So, so with cards like Uro in historic and other cards that you can cast from your graveyard, Granite Magistrate, is amazing, because yeah, sure, they cast it and it enters and then it goes to the graveyard, but then they can't cast it from the graveyard, right? But then I also have cards like that fairy, that white fairy, I think it's a fairy, that when creatures entering the battlefield or leaving the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger, man, I can't think of her name. Hushbringer, yeah. I have Hushbringer in there. I think that these, they're both 2-drops, right? They're both one white, one colorless. The Hate Bear Death and Taxes theme can be really powerful. It is lacking some things, I feel the vial that's in your Aether Vial, something like that would just put this deck over the top, man. It would be amazing. But unfortunately, this is historic, so we can't have cards that powerful yet. And I think like Apollo said, that like, yeah, I don't think a lot of people know about these strategies of play, and we need to crack it. We need to find the deck that like actually works, because I think there is a deck. Like I think if you put a smarter mind than me and Apollo, no offense Apollo, to this test, you know, like I think no, definitely not you. I think we can no. I think we can find, you know, we could find a deck that actually works. I don't think it would be tier 1, but I think it could like potentially be a higher tier than it is now, and I love it.
What do you think, Hoshi?
So I love Death and Taxes. I'm playing a hate flash deck right now that I've been tooling around with, which is it's Selesnya, which is one of my favorite color combos, as we talked about before. So it's green and white, and it's playing like a lot of those cards that you talked about, like that Archon that stops people from casting, that can only cast one spell each turn. But I'm also playing that with Collected Company, so I can cast creatures on my turn, and I can cast creatures on their turn. I'm also playing the Vivian that gives all your creatures flash at the same time, so that I can shut down their casting, but then keep casting my stuff at the same time, as well as playing Drannith Magistrate and all those other cards that really like tax people down. And it's a lot of fun. It's not quite there yet with power level. I definitely do win games with it, but it's not exactly where I want. My favorite commander deck, or not my favorite, sorry, one of my favorite commander decks is just all hate, basically. My Port one.
That's because you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not a great deck because everyone hates you. It's not a good strategy in a multiplayer format like that, because when you start taxing the shit out of everybody, everyone's like, let's kill that person, right? He's making our life a living hell right now. So not a good strategy in a multiplayer game, but in a single one-on-one format, it's great. It's very good. Yeah, so I like Death and Taxes. Great strategy.
Yeah, and you brought up a great point. Like Selesnya is also an option you can go. Orzhov is also an option you can go. You can have more of an aristocrat theme. What the big takeaway here is that it can shift gears very well. Whether you want to have more rampy kind of strategy, like in the form of green, like Selesnya specifically, or you want to have more like pings of life and gaining life to give yourself some staying power in the form of Orzhov. Death and Taxes is a very unique strategy. But something I did not mention that I want to make sure that everyone that's tuning in, listening, or watching is aware of. Another key takeaway here, which a lot of people don't think about, Death and Taxes actually depends on their lands. Normally you just want to have a good mana base and be able to cast the colors that you're trying to do. And you're like, what? This is mono white. Like, I just stick some plains in, right? Wrong. You actually want really good utility lands, and Death and Taxes depends on that. Land destruction is very powerful. Slowing your opponent down is the key takeaway here for Death and Taxes. So something like Field of Ruin, Ghost Quarter, super powerful. You know, a lot of people that have like tricolor, 4-color, 5-color decks, they don't have basics. If they do, they have very few. So you can actually start getting to a point to where you you make them sacrifice a non-basic land, and they can't even search a basic land, right? So now you're getting like a net positive of how you're disrupting them. Obviously, you can have other utility lands that boost yourself up in the form of like Castle Ardenvale or Shefet Dunes, things to just make your creatures just a slightly bit bigger. Also, Crawling Barrens, which is a pseudo Mutavault. It is not Mutavault, but
no,
it helps if you have a board wipe. If a board wipe is there, you can at least put 4 mana into it and then make it a creature land and still swing in and hopefully take down control. So that is Death and Taxes. What'd you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. And if you are tuning in, please send us an email at drunkenmanadorks@gmail.com. That is DRUNKEN, manadorks@gmail.com. As we've said before, Historic is a beloved, cherished format from all three of us. We mostly in paper love Commander, but Historic is fast becoming one of my all-time favorite formats. It's definitely my number 2, I would say. Historic Brawl and Historic itself it's up there. So, but kind of like a segue into those two things of Commander and Historic, we have Commander Legends entering on paper pretty soon. Now, this is pretty exciting. A lot of these cards are really cool. If you guys don't know anything about EDH, it is a really cool singleton format that you might have seen on Arena. Instead, it's 99 cards plus 1, whatever your commander is, for a total of 100. And it's an extremely unique way of playing because you can make anything you want and it can be extremely powerful. So Commander Legends, it's coming in, but this is just where we pick like a card that we would love to see in Historic. It's already confirmed that Commander Legends, well, actually it's not confirmed. There's just no confirmation that Commander Legends is coming to Arena. I'm assuming it's going to be paper only, but there does exist anthologies. And there is nothing that says Wizards can't choose. I mean, they can choose from whatever. I mean, this is like over 20 years of Magic the Gathering. They could choose some cards from Commander Legends. So I'm going to turn it over to my buds, and they're going to pick a card that has been spoiled so far that they would like to see in a future anthology set in Historic. So Hoshi, I'm going to turn it over to you. What card would you like to see?
Well then, since we're entering the combat phase, I will get combat ready.
Oh god.
Gross, dude. Disgusting. Nobody wants to see this. The more covered up you are, the better. Now, yeah, our ratings of 20 people just went down to 3.
Mama. You were the chosen one.
I gotta be careful about how much of that song No, be careful. The Disney.
I'm coming for you now, fuckers.
Yeah, the Disney
Mana Dorks.
Sith lawyers will descend upon us.
Dude, some super Sith lawyers.
Yeah, so for combat, right, we're gonna pick our favorite card that we would like to bring to Historic in this new commander set. Yeah, so there's so many good cards in this commander set that I would love. But I really love artifacts, artifact equipments. And there's a new one that they're putting in here that I think would be great. I feel like Historic doesn't have a lot of great equipments, and Seraphic Greatsword is an amazing card that I would love to get added to Historic. So it is artifact equipment. It's a 2-drop. It's a 1 colorless and 1 white artifact equipment, and it is equipped creature gets +2/+2. Whenever equipped creature attacks the player with the most life or tied for the most life, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying that's tapped and attacking that player, and then equip 4 on it. So this is kind of a multiplayer card, but as long as your opponent has more life than you do, you get a 4/4 angel that you can tap and attack with them. It's pretty sweet. The equip cost is a little high, but I like being able to put it on the field. There's some cards that we have in Historic now that can cheat equip costs. Like we have Nahiri. Now she has an equip ability onto a token, and there's the other equip card where you can equip a equipment onto a warrior, which is kind of a fringy little like jank card, which I've made that deck before. It's a lot of fun, so I think this equipment would be a lot of fun to add in.
Sweet.
Historic. Yeah.
Dig it, dude. What kind of deck strategies do you feel like that can go in?
I really like so the artifact equip strategies that they have, like Nahiri. It's a the deck that I'm running with right now is a warrior deck, because that equip card that you have, I know I've played against you with it, where I equipped 2 of the great hammers onto onto a token and gave it like trample. Yeah, it was insane. All right, so Nahiri allows equipment like that. So Boros has a really good equip strategy right now with that whole warrior combo thing. Also, knights also play with equipments. There's that knight commander that's Mardu. I forget what her name is, Sir Gwen, I think, where she allows equip cost for 0 as well, and you get bonuses for attacking with her. So I think there's some decent commanders or like, you know, strategies that you can do with equipment in historic right now. I would like to see more along that line with like a Voltron type strategy of being able to like super equip up one creature into some crazy sword wielding maniac and destroy your opponent with that. That would be a lot of fun. Kind of like how Aura's is right now. They have the Aura commander with what's her name? The one that's in the Core Spirit Dancer, right? I would like to see something like that for equipments, and then, you know, get some more equipments like this in there. I mean, adding the swords would be nice too. Historic,
well,
but
we can only have so much.
You can only
as Hoshi has mentioned, and I have failed to mention, this is our combat phase. We're going to be doing it a little bit different. As I said, we're going to be wishing a card from Commander Legends. So I'm going to turn it over to Drunken Dork. Which card that has been spoiled so far from Commander Legends would you like to see in a future historic set?
So I'm gonna cheat because I didn't see any good cards. That
shocker.
Yeah, I know, right? I didn't see any good cards that were recently made that like look like they would be great in historic. So I'm gonna choose more than one card that would go great in historic that was already printed before in another format, and they all are like the same. They have the same reasoning behind it, so that's why. It's going to be Preordain, Mana Confluence, and Vampiric Tutor. And it's because all of those cards are really good. They go really good in a non-singleton format. Maybe Vampiric Tutor, not as much, actually, honestly. But I think those cards would be great in historic because they would really mix it up, right? Like, I think actually Vampiric Tutor would be the least powerful and Preordain would be the most powerful, or Mana Confluence.
Yeah. Preordain. It's also banned, I think, in like modern.
It's banned in modern, yeah. So like that has to show something, right? Like,
great, yeah. Let's add ban cards to historic.
Well,
let's give control more turn 1 plays.
Well, the thing is, like, control is actually not that powerful in historic. It doesn't matter if you're best of 1 or best of 3. So, like, I think cards like these two could like potentially like help that deck a lot. You know, like a blue, white, black control deck. You know, and then Mana Confluence can just help out multicolored decks, which I think is always a good thing. The more options, the better. I don't think any of these cards are game breaking. I think Preordain is game breaking in modern because it has things like what is that called? Where you cast spells and then you or
Cascade or Storm.
No, Storm. Yeah, Storm. You know, that's what makes Preordain so powerful, is like things like Storm, you know, whereas like historic doesn't have the capability of something like that. So I think Preordain would just be a better opt. And I am totally down for that. Except it's a sorcery. You know, it's not even instant speed. Right?
That's true.
Is that even in Commander Legends? I don't see it anywhere.
Yeah, it is. Preordain it is, yeah. Yeah, it's a sorcery. I think any of those 3 cards I think would go really fun or go really good in historic and would actually be playable. And unfortunately, like looking at all the cards they've announced so far, so many of them are dependent on like multiple players, like, or make no impact because they're high converted mana cost and they're made specifically for a multiplayer format. So I think those 3 cards would be great. Anyone
super powerful. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you in the aspect of like Vampiric Tutor. Preordain is a pretty viable card. It could definitely help out Control. Control just needs it needs help. Esper Control, especially Azorius Control, it needs help. It needs like more turn 1s, I believe. You know, if it has something like Thoughtseize, Opt, and Preordain, it increases the chances. Like if the aggro player is playing Pelt Collector, you know, Llanowar elves, or mono red is playing some other like turn 1 elf, Skirk Prospector, or something of the like. Control has their ways to filter out their hand, get what they kind of need, and kind of get things going. So that could be good. Good idea. I'm choosing, kind of odd here, Opposition Agent. 3 mana creature, human rogue, a 3/2 with flash. You control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. While an opponent is searching their library, they exile each card they find. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast them. So, key takeaway here is I think this helps out rogues. Rogues, as we've discussed in past episodes, is something, it's like kind of like a pet deck for Drunken Dork, Grixis Rogues. And I think this card specifically can help put that deck on top. Now, Hoshi has mentioned, off screen, well, there's not that many search effects, but there might not be that many search effects, but there is enough. Fabled Passage for 1.
Yeah, exactly.
You deny them their land.
Yeah.
So they sack something and you deny them their fucking land, and then you can play their land, because the key word here, it says you may play those cards.
Yep. Not cast.
So you can, exactly. So you can play their land. So also you're ramping yourself, which could be really good for Grixis to maintain their tempo. And this right here is a disruption / tempo play. It's flash, which is it fulfills the rogue's desire to maintain that strategy, and then it's black, so it stops them. Like, it literally stops them when they search. And you can have this as a 4 of, maybe a 3 of. I think 3 of would probably be more ideal, but this is something I would love to see. I think this would push rogues into historic, especially Grixis rogues. This is something like I'm super excited for.
Looks great.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think this card's amazing. I think it's going to be incredibly oppressive in Commander, and the moment you play it, everyone is going to go like eyes on you. It is going to be like tunnel vision, because it is too oppressive in Commander. But in Historic, that would be amazing. It would be really good, because Fabled Passage is the only card I can really think of where you're really searching, besides maybe the Wild Growth, or not Wild Growth, Cultivate. You do see cards like that every once in a while, and you still do see the colorless, the 5 mana colorless dude, Golos, so I mean, stopping any of that is it's pretty fucking good. Stopping searching is incredibly powerful.
If they're searching, they're doing some shenanigans, right?
Yeah, definitely. Even goblins,
something tricky.
Yeah. Goblins. Yeah.
Even goblins has the matriarch.
Yeah.
That
they get goblin matron. Yeah.
Or Muxus with, and that actually shuts that down.
Yeah.
I don't think that's in any way stopping that deck, but that is a card that is taking something away from them, and anything that's taking anything away from goblins, I'm a fan of. I think it's good. Yeah, it's a great card. That's why it's commanding a $50 price tag right now, which is pretty good. I mean, that means that this deck is pretty. This card's pretty strong. Yeah, I think that there are a lot of strategies where it's not taking a giant hit out of them like it will in Commander. Like in Commander, this card is crazy because people are searching for everything in Commander. This card right there destroys my my Slivers deck. Right? Yep. That's mainly what I do with it. But in Historic, it's not super crazy, but it's still good. So I think this is a good pick.
Yeah, I think as a standalone in Historic, it's not that good, but I think specifically in a Rogues deck, it can help push Rogues to a higher tier, right?
Yeah.
So that's our wish list. I mean, it's not Christmas, it's Halloween. That's what we would like to see in historic. And after our combat is always our main phase 2, and that is the horseshit card game. And I'm going to turn it over to Drunken Dork, and he's going to tell us how we're going to play.
Sweet. So today I have a spooky card game for you. And so my theme today is going to be, Halloween themed. So this is a game that I play, just to tell everyone the rules, where I name usually 3 to 5 cards, and one of them is not real, and it's up to these two drunken idiots to figure out which one that is. And recently, these two drunken idiots haven't figured out shit. So I've had to drop the card number down. So I'm gonna do 4 cards this week. Originally it was 3, and they were getting it. Now at 5 they weren't getting shit. So here we are at 4. This will be the happy medium. Okay. So are you two ready?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So our first card is Haunted Lock. It is 2 blue black. It is an enchantment at uncommon from Shadows over Innistrad. It is and it says all creatures get -1, -0. And then it says whenever a creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Okay? So it's kind of spooky. Haunted Lock, right?
Yeah.
Creepy Doll. Ooh. Creepy Doll is 5 colorless mana. I hope you're cringing. It's an artifact creature construct. It's rare from Innistrad, and it says Creepy Doll is indestructible. Whenever Creepy Doll deals combat damage to a creature, flip a coin. If you win the flip, destroy that creature.
Oh.
Okay.
Very creepy.
And then this is kind of scary. Recurring Nightmare. You know, like when you look down, Houston, and your 1-inch penis is a 1/2-inch penis, like that would be your recurring nightmare.
That's
all right,
50%.
Go back to 1.
All right, so recurring nightmare.
Jesus Christ.
2 and a black, and it is it's an enchantment from Exodus, and it's rare. And it says sacrifice a creature. Return recurring nightmare to its owner's hand. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate this ability only any time you could cast a sorcery. All right, recurring nightmare.
Yeah.
And then the final one, Putrid Leech. It is a black and a green. It's a creature, and it is a zombie leech at common from Alara Reborn. And it says pay 2 life. Putrid Leech gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Activate this ability only once each turn. So I am going to start, since Hoshi decided to show up last week, I'll start with Hoshi. So which one of these cards do you think is horseshit? I'll repeat any number of them.
Okay. First of all, I want to say combat, we normally have a winner and a loser. Is kind of difficult this week. But I would like to say that
no, you lost.
Drunken Dork definitely lost because Drunken Dork lost because he cheated.
Okay, that's fair.
The rules were
I won
1
combat.
card.
I won.
No, you didn't. So Drunken Dork lost again.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, I'm ready for you to lose this week, so come on.
Yeah. I probably will. Okay. So it was Spooky Lock. It was Creepy Doll or something.
It's
right?
Haunted Lock, Creepy Doll, Recurring Nightmare, and Putrid Leech.
Okay.
It's a spooky ghost.
Oh, spooky ghost. That's a South Park reference of when Randy was covered in jizz. By the way, South Park.
Spooky ghost.
All right.
So I'm gonna go with
recurring
nightmare. Recurring nightmare. I'm picking
Recurring Nightmare.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
What about you, Apollo? If you need me to read any of them, I will.
Interesting. So I know there is a lock. I know there's a lock card. And I don't think you're smart enough to know what lock actually means. So
Thank you.
I'm gonna bet on that one being real. Creepy doll. I am a little confused on. I wonder if you're switched it up with Stuffy doll, but I can't remember what Stuffy doll said. And then what was the last one? The fourth card?
Putrid Leech.
Okay, so I know there's putrid. Interesting. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with my gut on this. Is probably wrong. I'm gonna go with Creepy Doll and say that's bullshit.
Creepy Doll. And you chose Recurring Nightmare.
Yeah.
Well, you got the winner here again. Yeah, this fucking idiot that doesn't know what lock is made up Haunted Lock. So, God damn. Yeah, just a FYI. Yeah, Haunted Lock is not a real card. None of this card is real. I didn't steal it from anything. I just made the whole thing up. Yeah, these other three are, though. Creepy Doll is actually a really fucking creepy looking card.
Yeah, I know about Creepy Doll.
Then Putrid Leech just sounded disgusting to me. And Recurring Nightmare is a really old card. It's actually a really popular card. It's a pretty... Yeah, it is. Like, I thought, you know... I'm not surprised you didn't know it, but I thought out of all of them that you guys would know this one more than any of them.
No, I knew the doll one. Yeah, but I didn't know the other. Huh.
Okay.
I'm an idiot, and I didn't know anything. So
yeah,
that was the only one I did know. Yeah, that one.
That is our main phase 2, the horseshit card game. What'd you guys think? Did you guys know the card? And as always, did you know that I'm always an idiot and I get these fucking cards wrong all the time, every week, and it slowly kills me inside.
I knew that.
Let us know in the comments below or send us an email and let us know what you think. So after our main phase 2, we go into our end step. We're getting close to the end, boys. And end step is just what other shit have we been doing this week? It does not have to be magic related. I'm going to turn it over to Hoshi. What other shit have you been doing this week?
Oh man, so I've been playing some Oculus Rift, doing some Beat Saber.
Some Beat Off Saber. Some Oculus.
VR porn, man.
Yeah, man.
You're like staring at the ceiling, like
I can feel the virtual titties. No, Beat Saber is a fucking awesome VR game where you can get a little workout in, and if you mod it, you can add all these songs that like people have made in there, and you don't have to pay for them. It's pretty sweet. And and the quest, and the quest is like a different operating system. So it's different than whatever I had on my PC before. So I was kind of bummed that I couldn't like move them over, but I found a way to actually add the modded stuff onto the quest, and so I've been downloading a bunch of songs to get my workout on. And then other than that, I mean, we just had a hurricane yesterday, which narrowly avoided us. It took out power on 2.6 million people, so we barely avoided that. Yeah, and killed 6 people. Yeah,
Jesus,
crazy stuff happening down here.
Yikes!
And I am finally about to hopefully
Florida, dude,
close on my house that I've been buying for like 9 years. For what it feels like now, the longest house buying experience ever to exist. Still working on it. So tomorrow I have an inspection. So, yeah,
good shit, dude. Well, I mean, aside from Florida being just like an asshole to you, I hope that works out, man. I really hope that your house like goes through. And stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope so too.
Drunken Dork, what other shit have you been doing this week?
Well, unfortunately, since last week, I said I was going to hopefully be playing video games. I did play Squadrons for I played the introduction and it was a blast. Oh. Yeah, it's really fucking cool. Yeah.
That game looks super cool.
Yeah, I had a blast, but unfortunately, I only had time to play video games for like literally an hour one day. So I just beat the introduction and that was it. And then the rest of the time, I've still been unpacking and shit, like doing adulting stuff, which I'm going to turn my camera and show. Yeah, look at all those commander decks right there.
God, look at that. So much money.
Look at all that paper.
Yeah, along with my video game station over here, which I need to fucking like clean up. I need to do some serious wire management. And
yeah, it's disgusting. How dare you even show that?
Yeah, I know, right? And so yeah, that is like literally all I've been doing is just like installing shelving and like unpacking and stuff. But it's worth it. I have my commander decks up there. I can just fucking grab them and go now. I'm excited.
Is there any spooky ghosts in your house?
Yeah. I just farted and that was pretty spooky. It's like
Jesus. Well, okay. I'll just end it on that. I nope. Disgusting, you gross motherfucker.
Hanging out with you over this medium is so much better just because of that. We don't have to smell you.
As for myself, so my Air Force military journey, I've been studying so wicked had, and I got a 94 in my ASVAB. I scored extremely high. I am super proud of myself. I'm now qualified to get whatever job I'd like. I'm trying to get into IT specifically. So I'm super stoked on that. Super happy. Other shit I've been doing this week. Yeah, with all the stress of not studying, I've been playing some games. And it's not Final Fantasy 14, which is kind of odd that you're dressed up as him. I've been playing Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Oh my God.
I mean, I've heard the game's really good.
The very best.
All right, stop.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. No, it's an amazing game. It's a really cool game. Really great Pokemon game for the Nintendo Switch. I feel like the Switch... it could utilize the graphics a lot better, but I mean, for what it is, right? It's always been on Game Boy, in some form of another, whether it be the 3DS or the original Game Boy. But it's really cool. It's really fun. Playing the new DLC that's out, so I like that they're adding DLC. So you buy the main game, and then they're adding expansions on top of that, as opposed to what Pokemon usually does, where you buy another game altogether and it's the same fucking story. They just add like a couple more Pokemon. So I like this. You pay $30 and you get like 2 new storylines and a whole bunch of more Pokemon. It's super nerdy. I love it. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. Just trying to get into the military, make sure I get my life together in 2020. And, you know, that's it. You know, I mean, Halloween, bros. You guys do anything for Halloween?
Yeah, definitely. So Florida don't give no fucks about COVID. So everything's pretty much open for Halloween. So we're going downtown. We're going to a what's that shit that you brew in your bathtub, the alcohol,
moonshine.
Yeah, they got some moonshine tasting downtown, along with like a whole bunch of other stuff. So we're doing some moonshine tasting, and then we're just gonna walk the downtown area. Yeah,
so you're drinking gasoline from a NASCAR 500 event is
yeah, baby. I'm gonna be hanging out in the cantina, you know.
Nice.
Disney. Stop.
Yeah. Lawsuit right there.
Drunken, what are you doing for Halloween?
I am being super lame and probably just handing out candy because Seattle is still in fucking lockdown pretty much for the most part, so nothing exciting here.
Yeah.
No.
And I myself am not doing anything. I'm just trying to keep on the ready and make sure everything that goes good in the military. So followed by the end step is our cleanup. This is going to be fun. Trick or treat.
Ooh.
Yeah. Trick or treat. So it's Halloween themed. Trick or treat. Kaledesh and A3 Volts. So Kaledesh Remastered is coming out soon. And the idea of the trick or treat is a combat trick or a really treat card that we would like to see coming from these cards. Kaledesh Kaledesh Remastered, it does not mean that every single card is coming out from these two formats or from these two blocks. As Hoshi has mentioned earlier in the episode, they could actually like pre-ban cards or just straight up not release them. So this is just where we briefly talk about a card we would like to see or that we're excited for and whether it's a trick or treat. So Hoshi, going to turn it over to you. Trick or treat, Kaledesh Remastered.
Oh, this is so hard. I don't know. This is definitely feels like in between, really. I mean, it's a straight treat for me. It is Authority of the Councils. This is a 1-drop, 1 mono white enchantment, and creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your opponent's control, you gain 1 life. Now, this is definitely a hate bear card, which we already talked about, that we love hate bears. This thing is just bodies goblins, because when they spew a bunch of goblins on the field, guess what? They all come in tap. Guess what? You're gaining a life for every single one that they cast. So this is directly hating against them. It slows goblins down. You're able to gain life at the same time, able to get some board rights. It's early. You can drop this turn 1, so it slows down all aggressive decks. So this is a good card for control and for lockout type strategies, which I love. So yeah, this is my pick. I love it.
Sweet. Dig it. Drunken, what about you?
So I'm going to pick Smuggler's Copter because I'm sure everyone's excited about this card entering. It's incredibly powerful. It's been banned from certain formats. I think it is. It probably won't live long if it even lives at all, if they even put it in there. It is basically a 2-drop artifact vehicle that has flying. And it says, whenever Smuggler's Copter attacks or blocks, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. It has crew 1 like all vehicles have. They have crew, and it is a 3/3. A 2-mana colorless flying 3/3 that can draw and discard, that can loot is amazing. Like, it's so incredibly powerful. It's like, this is played in almost every format just because of how powerful this card is, and I think it is going to make a huge impact, and I'm excited to see what it does if it even shows up. I hope they put, I was about to say I hope they print it, but I guess technically they're not printing it. I hope they digitize this shit or whatever.
Is it tempo? Jeskai tempo, mono blue tempo. It fits in, and this is an extremely powerful card. For those that don't know, crew is where I believe you tap a creature, and that's what enables it to attack, right? Or you tap whatever the crew is.
Yeah, power with equal to its power level. Yeah. So you tap a creature equal to its power level, and this is crew 1, so it just needs a power of 1 or more. And like, the thing is, those creatures don't need haste because it just says tap. It doesn't have the tap symbol. It doesn't have the tap symbol, so you can play it, and if you have a 1/1 out, you can immediately tap it to have this thing block, and then you get a loot. It's like, that's what makes it so powerful.
That's an extremely good point. It definitely dodges the summoning sickness clause, because another card is saying that it can tap. It's not tapping itself to use an ability, and it's not having haste. Hoshi, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, it still can't attack.
No.
It can't attack when you put it, but to make it a creature, you can make it a creature immediately. Like, or you can put down a 1/1 and make it a creature with that while it still has summoning sickness. Yeah, I think this is a super good card. Obviously, it's been banned a lot. I don't think they're gonna bring it in. Just because of how controversial it's been, and I think honestly it'd be a good call for them not to bring it in. Even though it would be fun. It's a fun card, but I don't think they should bring it in.
Gruul aggro, it would go perfect.
Yeah, exactly. There's too many strategies it works in. The fact that it's colorless like that, I just think it's too strong.
Super powerful, and I guess time will tell. We'll just have to see. But I am a little bit on the fence of Hoshi, like Walking Ballista and Felidar Champion or whatever that cat is. There's going to be some cards that Wizards has to recognize before these sets come in. As for myself, control has been an issue. I really want control to happen. I love playing Azorius control, especially Esper control. And there could be some early game cards that, like, I mean, Drunken has mentioned some cards like Preordain. I believe control needs some late game staying power and recursion. And I'm going with Torrential Gearhulk.
Nice.
Ooh,
it's a good card.
It's a goodie.
4 colorless, 2 blue for a 5/6 artifact creature construct with flash. When Torrential Gearhulk enters the battlefield, you may cast target instant card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that card will be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. So this is just a catch-all. It gets what you want. Now, do not be fearful from the 6 mana cost. Control depends on ramping itself in the form of late game staying power, using control elements to make sure it keeps getting its land drops. 6 mana is not a problem for control. And then control gets a body. So then they can also swing in and start doing damage. And by the time control has been able to cast this, I would assume it's already game over. Yeah. It's a very powerful card. It was extremely powerful in standard, and I would love to see this card help out control. Do you guys have any final thoughts on that?
I think it's a great card. I think it's a good choice.
It's super good card. It's a better Snapcaster Mage. It's just 6 mana. Yeah. Very good. I wanted to pick this one. And my last thoughts are, there's so many good cards in this set that this is one of the ones I want to pick too. There's so many really good cards in this set. It was really hard to just pick one. You know, there's
an insane amount of cards. And with that, we're going to go into our discard phase. But just to let you guys know, what'd you guys think about this week's episode? What'd you guys think about the Trick or Treat, Kaledesh, and Aether Revolt? Kaledesh Remastered is fast approaching. There's so many cards. And we want to know what you guys think. What cards are going to be viable, or what are going to be some format staples that we're going to see in Historic specifically? So let us know in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't, like and click the notification bell if you already are, and if you are subscribers, thank you so much. We really appreciate all the feedback that you have been giving us through emails, Reddit, and the like. We love it all. So just let us know. We do this all for you guys. And if you guys are tuning in, you're listening in your car or whatever, you're at work, shoot us an email or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I think those are the big 3, right? At the Mana Dorks. We have our own Facebook page, our own Twitter. We post pictures and funny memes and shit. You can also follow each of us individually at Michael Butler Grow on Instagram, Drunken Dork on Instagram, and Super Houston at Instagram. So, like I said, this is Discard, social media promo, and this is where we finish whatever the fuck we're drinking.
Oh, yeah, baby.
So, put her up, boys. And you know what?
Cheers.
We'll see y'all next time. Cheers.
See ya.
Happy Halloween.
Peace. May the force.
I got you now, fucker. Gosh, Mickey, are we gonna fuck your ass?